Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're rediving deep into the heart of American folklore to uncover the story of a man who became a legend, a barefoot wanderer whose legacy you can still taste today. Forget tales of cowboys and gold rushes for a moment. This is the story of a gentle soul who walked thousands of miles with a pot on his head, a sack full of seeds, and a dream of a country filled with apple trees. This is the true story behind the legend of Johnny Appleseed, long before the vast landscapes of America were tamed by highways and cities. Back when it was a sprawling wilderness of endless forests and untamed rivers, a boy named John Chapman was born in 1774, but history and folklore would give him another name, a name that echoes through classrooms and storybooks: Johnny Appleseed. This wasn't a title he sought, but one he earned, step by barefoot step. From a very young age, John was different. While other children might have played games of soldiers and dreamt of adventure and riches, John found his magic in the natural world. He was captivated by the rustle of leaves, the quiet strength of ancient trees, and the buzz of life in a meadow. He saw the land not as something to be conquered, but as a living, breathing gift that deserved respect and gentle care. This profound love for nature would become the compass for his entire life. He believed in a simple, powerful truth, that the earth would provide for those who cared for it. As John grew into a man, the world around him was changing. The young nation of America was pushing westward, with pioneers heading into the untamed territories of Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. They were building new lives, new towns, and new futures. John saw this great migration, but he noticed something was missing. These pioneers had tools, they had courage, but they didn't have orchards. They didn't have the simple, comforting sweetness of an apple. And so, his life's mission began. It wasn't a quest for gold or glory. It was a quest for green. He gathered sacks and sacks of apple seeds, often from the cider mills of Pennsylvania. Legend says he fashioned a knapsack from old cloth, put a tin cooking pot on his head to protect him from the sun and rain, which also doubled as his cooking utensil, and, with little more than the clothes on his back, he turned his face westward and started to walk. Imagine the sight: a man with no shoes, traversing the rugged, often dangerous frontier. He carried no gun for protection, believing that kindness was his greatest shield. His only treasures were his precious seeds and a heart full of goodwill. He walked through dense forests where sunlight barely touched the ground, followed the winding paths of great rivers, and crossed vast, open valleys. And everywhere he went, he planted. He didn't just scatter seeds randomly. He was a skilled nurseryman. He would find a clear, fertile patch of land, often near a new settlement or along a pioneer trail, and he would carefully plant his seeds. He'd build a small fence around the saplings to protect them from wildlife, and then move on, leaving behind a fledgling orchard for the settlers who would follow. His philosophy was simple and beautiful. As he traveled, he'd meet farmers, families, and fellow travelers. He would teach them how to plant and care for the young trees, sharing his knowledge freely. He'd often say something like, "If you plant something good, it will feed both your heart and your home." He saw an apple tree as more than just a source of food. It was a symbol of putting down roots, of nurturing life, and of creating a home. Now, you might think he did this for money, but that's where the story takes a turn from a business venture to a genuine act of love. Johnny rarely asked for payment. He believed that the joy of an apple, the security of having a sustainable food source, should be available to everyone, no matter how poor. If people offered him money, he might take it, but he was just as likely to accept a simple meal, a place to sleep in a barn, or even just old clothes, which he would then give to someone he felt needed them more. He bartered his saplings for whatever people could offer, living a life of radical simplicity and generosity. As the years passed, this strange, kind-hearted man became a welcome sight on the frontier. He was a walking, talking piece of news, carrying stories and messages from one isolated settlement to another. Children would get excited and run to greet the apple man. Farmers knew that his arrival meant the promise of future harvests. He was known for his incredible gentleness, not just with people, but with all living things. Stories began to spread, each one adding to his growing legend. They said that wild animals, which most settlers feared, seemed to sense his peaceful nature. Bears and wolves would let him pass without a threat. Birds would land on his shoulders, and deer would graze peacefully near him as he worked. He once put out his campfire because he saw mosquitoes flying into the flames, and he couldn't bear to see any creature suffer, no matter how small. He was a living embodiment of living in harmony with the wilderness, not fighting against it. His appearance was as unique as his mission. He was often described as small and wiry, with long hair and a beard, and eyes that were kind and full of light. His clothes were often patched up rags, sometimes just a coffee sack with holes cut out for his arms and head. And of course, there were his feet calloused and tough, from thousands of miles of walking barefoot through thorns, over rocks, and across frozen ground. When asked why he didn't wear shoes, he'd often say he wanted to feel the earth, to be connected to the ground he so deeply loved. But let's separate the man from the myth for a moment. John Chapman was a real person, and while the pot hat and animal charming tales might be embellished, his work was very real and incredibly important. The apples he planted weren't the sweet, crisp-eating apples we know today. They were mostly tart, bitter varieties, perfect for making the two most essential products on the frontier: hard cider and apple cider vinegar. Cider was a safer drink than water, which was often contaminated, and vinegar was crucial for preserving food. So, Johnny wasn't just planting a treat. He was planting a necessity. He was providing pioneers with drink, medicine, and a way to make their food last through long, harsh winters. For nearly 50 years, John Chapman walked. He walked until the wilderness he first entered was dotted with towns and farms, each with its own apple orchard, many of which he had a hand in planting. He saw the country grow and change, and he helped shape it in his own quiet, humble way. He never settled down, never built a house for himself. The whole of the American frontier was his home. He died in 1845, close to 70 years old, near Fort Wayne, Indiana. He spent his final days, as he had spent his life, caring for his trees. He left behind no great fortune, no land, no estate for an estimated 1,200 acres of nurseries, scattered across the Midwest. His real legacy was far greater. It was written on the landscape itself, in the branches of countless apple trees that blossomed every spring. And so, the legend of Johnny Appleseed was born, and continues to grow. He became a symbol of peace, generosity, and environmental stewardship, long before that term even existed. He was the man who didn't conquer the wilderness with an axe, but nurtured it with a seed. He was a testament to the idea that one person, with a simple mission and a kind heart, can change the world in a quiet but profound way. His story reminds us that the greatest legacies aren't always built of stone or steel, but sometimes they grow from a single, hopeful seed planted in fertile ground. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into American history and folklore, please give this video a thumbs up. And do forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next story. See you next time. As the years rolled on, Johnny Appleseed's journey stretched further and further. He wasn't just walking. He was on a mission, a pilgrimage of sorts. He crossed mighty rivers and climbed rugged mountains, pushing through relentless storms and basking in warm sunshine, never pausing for long. His purpose was simple, yet profound: plant apple trees and spread kindness. This was the compass that guided his every step. He became a familiar, welcome sight. As he approached a new town, a wave of excitement would ripple through the community. "Johnny's here," people would exclaim with genuine joy. "The man who plants happiness has arrived." He was more than just a traveler. He was a teacher. He would gather families and show them the secrets to creating their own orchards, how to turn a patch of land into a source of food and beauty for generations. He had a special connection with children. He'd teach them how to gently water the young saplings, how to build little fences to protect them from hungry animals. He taught them not just how to grow trees, but how to care for life itself. When people would try to thank him, overwhelmed by his generosity, he'd just smile warmly and say, "Don't thank me, thank the earth. She's the one who gives us everything." His humility was as boundless as his kindness. Even the harshest winters couldn't dampen his spirit. While others sought shelter, Johnny embraced the wild. He'd share his meager food with other travelers he met on the road, often giving away his only blanket to someone shivering from the cold. He found his comfort sleeping under a blanket of stars, right beside his precious saplings, as if guarding them through the night. His love for life was so pure, so deep, that it resonated with the natural world around him. Animals, usually wary of humans, would approach him without fear. Deer would graze peacefully nearby, and birds would land on his shoulders. There are even incredible stories, passed down through generations, that he once found a wolf with an injured paw. He gently tended to its wound, and in return, the grateful wolf followed him for many miles, a loyal companion on his lonely path. These tales might sound like folklore, but they speak to the incredible harmony he had with all living things. Over the decades, the fruits of his labor literally blossomed across the American frontier. Entire orchards, heavy with apples, stood where once there had been only wild grass and untamed wilderness. Generations of families grew up picking those apples, their sweet tastes a delicious reminder of the kind, wandering man who planted the first seeds with so much love and hope. Each apple was a tiny piece of his legacy. Even as he grew old, his back a little more stooped and his steps a little slower, Johnny never stopped. He just kept walking, a sack of seeds still slung over his shoulder, quietly planting until the very end of his days. His work was his life, and his life was a gift to the future. And even after Johnny Appleseed was gone, his spirit lived on. The apple trees he left behind continued to grow, becoming strong and magnificent. They fed the hungry, provided cool shade for weary travelers on hot summer days, and told his story in the gentle rustle of their leaves. They were living monuments to his incredible journey. Today, when we hear the name Johnny Appleseed, we think of more than just a historical figure. He has become a legend, a symbol of kindness, simplicity, and a profound respect for nature. His story is a powerful reminder that one small seed, whether it's an apple seed or a simple act of goodness, can grow into something beautiful and enduring, something that can last forever and touch countless lives. It shows us that one person, with a simple mission and a big heart, can truly change the world, one tree at a time. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the heart of an American legend. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more tales that inspire and uplift, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us continue to share these wonderful stories. Until next time, take care.